Hello everybody. Welcome into Watch Me Wednesday. Hi. It seems like it's been forever. I see everybody's coming in and from lots of different places. Awesome. I am so happy that you are all here today on this Wednesday. It's been kind of a weird day here in Arizona. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Arizona. I know a few of you that are from the area. Summertime is typically monsoon season here in Arizona. Yep, monsoon season. So it doesn't typically rain here all year round. And when it does rain, it rains really hard, fast and furious, and then is typically gone. Well, this summer we're getting a lot more than we normally get. Or at least than we did last year. And today it was crazy this morning. And I was driving in it this morning and it just came down fast and furious. And we have washes that are typically dry and they just flash flood. So it's kind of crazy and it's a little humid here for my liking because I don't like the humidity and typically it's dry here. So it's been a weird kind of morning today. Before we get started on this beautiful tutorial that I wanted to share with you, I just wanted to fill you in with a little personal something since I have been away for a couple weeks. Actually two little personal things. We did go to see my mother-in-law, whom we haven't seen in 2 years. We went back to Pennsylvania and she is celebrating her 95th birthday. So it was so good to see her. And see how she's doing. She still lives on her own, which is quite amazing. She looks fantastic. Other than just the normal aging things that happen, she's doing great. So it was really nice to see her and some of my in-laws. So it was a great few days that we spent there. Another little something that if you don't follow me like on Instagram, and I do post every once in a while here on the Facebook page. I'm involved in a little science research study, which is kind of cool, and it has me geeking out all over the place because I love science. I really do. I'm involved in a study at the Mayo Clinic, which is about fitness performance at altitude. So I get to go in a hyperbaric chamber 3 days a week and get on a stationary bike and bike for 30 minutes at altitude. And I go anywhere from 7,000 feet to 12,000 feet in altitude over a 6-week period. Today I was there. That's why I was driving in the rain this morning. Today I was there and I was at 9,000 feet in altitude. And I'm in the high intensity group. There are 3 groups. I'm in the high intensity group. It was a total random flip of the coin. I could have been in the group where you just sit there for 30 minutes and you go to altitude. But I'm in the high intensity fitness group and I work up a sweat, I'll tell you. And your heart and your lungs do work harder at altitude. So over this next 6 weeks, they'll bring me up to 12,000 feet. So we'll see how I do. But just really fun, just little bit about what I do sometimes in my personal life. But if you ever get a chance to be involved in a research study, it's actually really cool. This is my first time and I love all the little statistics about it. They take my blood work every week just to check my blood levels and everything to see how the altitude affects your blood level. So it's really kind of cool. Anyway, I can go on and on about that too. As much as I love science, I love quilting equally as much. So that's what you're all here for. So that's what I want to talk about. So yeah, you can tell I'm a little enthusiastic. So maybe the altitude makes you more enthusiastic too. I don't know. But anyway, I want to talk about, as you know, many of you know, I am a certified Judy Niemeyer instructor and one of her certified shops as well. And one of her patterns, one of the patterns that a lot of people love to make or want to make or aspire to make is a double wedding ring pattern. It's a very traditional pattern and a lot of people shy away from it because they think it's really hard. Well, it's not really that difficult. So I always say to my students when they're in class, there's a difference between difficulty and time consuming. So putting the quilt together itself is not really difficult. It's definitely time consuming. So there is a huge difference. So, and I actually have had students who have chosen this as their very first quilt ever to make, and they did a spectacular job. So it's all perception. So I'm going to take you through a couple of the steps in how to construct the actual block. I'm going to show you just a few of the steps. I'm not going to show you everything because it would take, it really would be an entire class if I showed you everything. But I hope to debunk some of those, not myths, but some of your apprehensiveness, I guess, about possibly putting one of these together, because it's not as difficult as you may think. It just takes a little time and patience. And I know you all have it because you are quilters and you are here to see what's going to happen. So I'm going to put up the other camera so that you can see what I have down here. And I'm going to put myself in the corner. Just if I get in the way, I'm going to pop myself off that corner. But anyway, so I have a block laid out here, and I say block, it's actually 4 blocks, because the way Judy makes her patterns, it's going to be, you're going to put together a block, and that's what I'm going to kind of show you what to do today. So it's after you get your pieces constructed or paper piece, it's kind of like how to join it together. So let me just take a few of these pieces out of the way so that I can show you a little better. This particular one is one that I use for my class sample class demos. This is the Gemstone wedding ring, and I forgot to look to see, I can't remember if this is still available or discontinued. It's not available on my website, but I did put links in the description above me if you're on Facebook, or possibly below me, or if you're on YouTube, it's below me. I did put links to some of the double wedding ring patterns that I currently have in stock. So if you so desire, the Bali Wedding Star is, which is not this one. The Bali Wedding Star is probably her most popular one. The ones behind me are the bed runners. So if you don't want to do a real full big quilt, those are a good place to start, or something like this, which is 64 by 64 is also a good place. So you don't have to get full blown into a huge quilt, okay? So now's the time if you want to share the video so that other people could come in and take a peek at what is going on. Let me put that one over there. And I'm going to show you basically the block and then how it kind of goes together. So let me just get these out of the way. I'm going to show you one block, and then I'm going to show you how to join it. Okay, so this is what I mean by a block, okay? So I'm going to turn it this way just so it's oriented for me, for my sake. So this is part of this, these little points make up the center star. So if you can see behind me, I'm in the little inset corner here, this way. So if you can see behind me over here, you can see there's an inset star there where the arcs meet. So these will create that inner star, if you will. So what we want to do, the idea is to get these pieces together. So they come together as such. Let me get these individual pieces out. So you have different units. So Judy names all her units. This is a CMS, it's called. So that would go there. Then you have your arcs. This is your unit B. So this one gets the cornerstones on it, okay? And then you have your melon, which is your unit M, is in the middle. And then you have another arc, and then you have another outside unit. So that's basically, there are 4 or 5 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that go together to create that one block, okay? So let me show you I want to show you the first, how to get that. Let me see, I have one here. I think this is the one where I'm going to show you how to put, and this is basically the same technique for all of them, to put the arc, the first arc, which is your unit A, onto your melon unit, which is your unit M. Okay, and some of the tools that I use, and all these tools you can get on the website, these are basically the ones that I use the most. The fabric glue pen, which replaces pins. I use that on all curves. So if you've watched any of my curved piecing demonstrations, you'll always see this. A purple fang. We use this to keep the bulk away from the needle when you're sewing. And then my pins. So, and I don't think I have any down here. So these are my favorite pins. They're really super small. Let me bring it up to the camera. They're glass head pins, clover, glass head, orange and green. They're on my website. They're really long and thin, which I really like. So basically what you're going to do, I'm going to dive right into it, okay? And if you have questions, please hold them until the end, type them in, and then at the end I will answer any questions that you have, okay? So the curved piecing technique is pretty super simple, and you're going to start, I'm sorry, I want to start this way. So I want to have these three pieces, and you want to join this piece to this piece first, then this to this, okay? And you're going to see the reason being. I want to keep the pieces or the paper on the pieces in order. So I want to keep the paper on this piece, but I want to take the paper off of this one and join it here first, because this one has to bend. It has bias on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the paper off of this. We've already paper pieced these together. So this unit is ready to go. And if you have a little paper still sticking from that glue, it comes off easy with just a little dab of water, which I will take off later. So then you're going to turn this down, and let me zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing here. Oh, that's me. I don't want to zoom in on that one. I want to zoom in on this one, this camera. Okay, here we go. I'm going to zoom in here so that you can see a little better. Okay, what I'm going to do first is I want to go ahead and I want to align the edge with the edge of the melon, and I'm going to stick a pin in there. Okay, and I'm going to kind of weave that in just so it stays nice and stable. And then I'm going to go around the other side and I'm going to align that second edge there. Okay, so it's nice and straight with the edge. You want to get it straight on close. Your cutting of these pieces had to be accurate to get these to accurately fit. And I'm weaving that in so you can see what I've done there. So can you see how I wove that in that end, and then I wove it in that end. Now, see this little dog ear here? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim that off. I'm just going to trim it straight up and down to the seam so you can see what I did there. It just gets it out of the way. We don't need it. And then all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my fabric glue pen, and if you're a lefty, you're probably going to work from left to right. I'm a righty, so I'm going to work from right to left. And I'm not pulling on this top fabric because it's got a bias. We don't want to stretch it, because if you stretch it, by the time you get over here, you're going to have excess fabric. So you want to just put a little bit of fabric glue and in that seam allowance, and you want to align edge to edge, okay? Edge of fabric to edge of fabric. And you just go along the entire way. And I just do a little bit at a time. I don't put a lot of fabric glue in there. Like, I don't do a line of it because the fabric glue pen will dry pretty quickly. And a lot of people always ask, well, doesn't this gunk up your needle? Well, no, because you're putting it inside the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So you shouldn't be even sewing on it. But even if you do, it would be dry by then, so it wouldn't be an issue with your needle. And you should be changing your needles out relatively frequently just so that they stay nice and sharp. So you can see I'm just working my way to the other side. And when I get there, I just put it all the way to the end there, and I press it into place, and now we've got it all set and ready to sew. Now, if I was doing a lot of these at one time, I could sit down, put the glue in there while I'm watching TV, and have like a bunch of these ready to chain piece, which would be really awesome because it's super efficient to just chain piece these. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and I want to swap to the other camera so you can see how I'm gonna sew it. All right, so now we are at the sewing machine. I have a 1/4 inch foot on here. This is my Viking Husqvarna. It's a 1/4 inch foot. I don't know what it is on other brands, what the name of the foot is or the number. And the Purple Fang tool, and I'm sorry for the blurriness. I tried to get it to focus, but it's not focusing really well. So I apologize for that. But you can see I'm going to use the edge here of the Purple Fang, not this way like a stiletto. I'm going to use it this way in front of the fabric, so in front of the fabric, pushing any bulkiness, which there really isn't, kind of away to the left side of the needle so that I don't get any puckers or pleats or anything in there. Now I've set my sewing machine. I have a 50 weight thread in, and I use an Aurifil. I'm using a gray thread, the Dove 2600. So I have that in. I have a Microtex 7010 needle in, and I've got my stitch length set at 2.0. I don't have it set at 1.5 because at this point we're not paper piecing, so I don't need a really super tight stitch, but I like a stitch that is a little bit tighter than your 2.5, which is typically your default stitch. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead, and if you want, this is where I suggest that you put your machine in needle down if you have a needle down function, because you might want to stop along the way here. You do not want to sew over your needle. Mine has a little fixed stitch, so I'll let it do the fixed stitch, then I'm going to pull out my pin, and I'm going to take that away. And now I'm going to use my Purple Fang, and I'm going to ride the edge of the foot right along the edge of that fabric. And you can see how I've got my Purple Fang right in front here of my needle, just kind of flattening out the fabric in front. And really, honestly, there's not a lot of fabric to flatten out because this is a nice, gentle curve. Now, I was saying how you can be really efficient by gluing all your curves together, and then and you can do it while you're sitting watching TV. You don't have to be sitting at your sewing machine. It's a lot more efficient that way. So think about this. So if you have all these curves to do in your double wedding ring, right, and you're watching a movie, a 2-hour movie, you could be sitting and gluing these, getting them all done, and then by the time you return to your sewing room or your studio, into your sewing machine, you can just go ahead and bang out each one of these in the sewing machine, just one after the other, doing your curves, nothing fancy because you're just sewing. And then I'm going to take this out. Now if I had another one to put in, I would just slide it in here and keep going, and I would just sew all my curves together. Okay, so let me clip that, and I'm going to cut off that tail end. Now I'm going to switch cameras back so you can see overhead. So now I'm going to clip this too. I am a thread clipper. Clip your threads as you go. Clip your threads as you go. A lot of people end up with threads like above and everything. So now that you have that piece on, you're going to go ahead, and I don't have my iron here at my station where I am because it's just over there away from me. So this presses out towards the CMS piece, okay? Then the next piece we want to add on is our melon piece. Now this is my star point here. Oh, let me get it back in the camera here. This is my star point, so I want this star point in the melon to be in the same position. I don't want it to be this way because then I would lose my star in the center of the double wedding ring, okay? Now remember I said I left the paper on this side because I needed that to be stable to add this piece. Well, now I need to take the paper off of this one, but leave the paper on this one. So this piece, the unit M, is going to be the piece that always has the paper taken off last, okay? So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take these papers off the back, so bear with me. It won't take me long here. And these papers were put on paper piecing. This was strip pieced. All these arcs were strip pieced. I have a bag full of them because I told you I use this particular one for demos. Okay, and then I'll just take there's paper in the seam there. I'll just take that off later. I won't take it off now. It'll take too much time. So now it's the same process again. So now I need to flip this back to this side and I need to align my edge. And this is where it gets a little tricky here. Now Judy has put smart corners on her pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to guess that's like a quarter inch. Hang on a second. Hang on one second. My vision, where I am at here, it's hard for me to see because I have to lean over here. But I don't want to put my head over top of the camera so you guys can't see. So I'm going to do this so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm putting in a quarter inch there. I folded it over. It's not quite right, so I want to go back it off a little bit. That's about a quarter inch there, I think. So see where I left a little dog ear? And I'm going to put this pin in this way just so I can check it and see if that's a quarter inch. Because I'm going to fold this back, and these should, when I fold that open, this should align. Now I think I took too much of a big bite there, so I'm going to scooch it back just a little bit. Okay, and I'm getting that. I'm trying to make it so it's at a quarter inch, so when this opens up, it aligns perfectly. So now see, now when that opens up, that's aligned perfectly. That black melon is aligned perfectly with that. So now I'm going to just take another pin. I don't want to take that out. Just take another pin and keep that in place there because I need this out so I can sew. I'm going to come to the other side and I'm going to do the same thing because I want to make sure it's a quarter inch. Now, again, Judy has incorporated smart corners. So with their newer patterns, you won't even have to bother doing this. She'll have those corners there so they match up perfectly. But in this particular one, this is a little bit older. So that's why I'm going through the trouble of doing this. And if any of you have the older patterns, you will see this on her patterns. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip that up. And it doesn't quite align right, so I'm going to give it a little nudge back the other way. I'm a little perfectionist when it comes to this. Okay, and there, I like how that aligns. That aligns nicely. So again, I'm going to take another pin and I'm going to put it in. And now, so now I've got those pins in and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my glue pen and I'm going to work my way right to left. And if you're a lefty, you're going to work left to right. And I'm just going to go ahead and dab the glue in and put those two edges together, just pressing them together. And again, I'm not pulling on this pieced arc because this arc has bias in it. If I tug on it, it will make for excess fabric down the end, which I do not want, because I do not want to have to ease that in. And we just go a little bit at a time. And again, a lot of you will say, well, how do you know you cut it right and everything? If you cut her templates, her paper foundations, I should say, you know, they have the lines where you cut. So you got to cut accurately. You're kind of splitting that line. You're cutting accurately. If you cut everything accurately, if you're really precise about it, and it is about precision, if you're precise about it, these things fit. I didn't need to find the middle. I don't need to do that at all, because they have made these so that they fit together perfectly. And that's the whole idea about the precision part. If you are precise in your sewing and in your cutting, your quilt's going to go together that much more nicely. So now, see how I have that all glued down in place? So now I'm going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to bring you back over to the sewing machine. I'm going to repeat the same thing over here. So, if you will, my 1/4 inch is going to actually go right in that valley there. So where I took the time to figure out where that 1/4 inch, it's going to start right there in that valley. And then I'm just going to go ahead and start. I'm going to do that little fixed stitch that my machine does. And I'm going to start sewing slowly. Do not hit your pin, take it out, and then use your purple fang to hold that fabric down and push it away if you need to from the needle, okay? And here comes my quilt inspector. I have a feeling he's going to jump up here and kind of get in the camera. He says, I need some loving from my mama. And I know many of you have quilt inspectors, so hopefully he doesn't get too overzealous and lay right on the cutting mat. We'll see. But we're just taking our time, going around the edge, flattening out in front if you need to. Up there he is, and he's blocking the view. You need to get down. You're blocking the view. Sorry, guys. Okay, there he goes. He's out of the view, but he's going to lay on my cutting mat. Sorry about that. Who knew we were going to have technical cat difficulties? And then we're coming to the end. Pull that pin out. Cut your threads. And then, again, oh boy, he's over here on the cutting mat. So let's see if I can get him to move. You need to move over here, bud. All right. See, there's my cat. He's going to be enough out of the way, I think. Sorry, guys. It's hysterical. It's got me laughing. Anyway, so now that you've sewn that, and let me just pan out just a little bit so that you can see this a little more. You're going to see more of the cat too, by the way. So there's my cat. He needs to be in too, right? We need to give him loving. It's been a rough day for him too with all the thunderstorms. Anyway, so this is what it's going to look like. You're going to push it out, press it out that direction. Then the next up, and I'm not going to go through these steps with you because it's basically the same. You're going to put your cornerstones are going to go on these arcs. And that's all in the instructions. And then you're going to add in, oops, let me bring this in. Then you're going to take your paper off this one, add it to this. Once that's added on, you take your paper off of this one and add it to that. Of course, this will get trimmed down this arc before you do that. So let me bring it back to me and let's see if you have any questions. And there's my guy. There he is. My quilt inspector. He wants to be in it today, in the thick of things. So let me scroll back and see what, if any questions you might have. And if you have questions, please type them in now. Let's see. I see a lot of familiar faces in. This is nice. I'm so glad you guys are all here. Let's see, first question. Sonia, let me read it. I'm not sure it's a question, but let's read. She had the Bowley pattern about a year and was very intimidated, but then you took my Craftsy class. Awesome, and you jumped right in. Had made 3 already. I'm self-taught and was a little hard to accomplish it. It's true, Sonia. I mean, once you get the technique down, it's great. So I'm glad you're able to do that. It's nice when you've been sitting on a pattern for a while and then jump right in. So I'm glad you got it done. That's awesome. Awesome. Kudos to you. Let's see. We've got Sandy saying, what is the best pattern for a beginner? Would taking your Craftsy class make more sense or be beneficial? So Sonia kind of answered that. She took the Craftsy class and it really helped her. So that would be a great starting place because you do learn all the techniques. I also have another paper piecing class. Actually, all my online classes you can find on my website, CVQuiltworks.com. You can go to classes and click on online and you can see what's there. You can see my Craftsy class, and then I have 3 more classes too that you can take a look at. But those are great jumping off points because they will get you going on the technique and you will be able to figure out which pattern you want to do. But if you don't want to do an online class like that, what I would recommend doing is I would get a pattern that has the same unit over and over and over again so that you can get that technique down. So if you're looking for a Quiltworx Judy Niemeyer pattern, a really good beginner one if you want to get that curved technique in is Desert Sky. It's a small quilt. It's 24 fat quarter quilt. Same technique over and over, same unit over and over. And then, he's going to lay right now, right there. You see, the struggle's real. But that would be my advice to you, is to find one of those patterns, one of Judy's patterns that would be a repetitive one where you get that technique so you're getting the same unit over and over and over again and you get the hang of it. So that would be my advice if you don't want to take an online class. Okay, so let's see. I think Sue's got a question here. Let's see, Sue. Does Judy sell a border kit to give straight sides instead of scallop border? So in the patterns, and actually I don't have any of the Bally Wedding Star patterns here. Geez, I wish I did. In the pattern, she does give you options to tell you how to square it up. I have a top that I've done where the border is squared up. So you can totally square up the border. So and I'm pretty sure, I wish I had one to look at here, just to be sure about that, because I don't. But I'm almost 98% positive she gives you that option in the pattern, so you can see it. I hope that answers your question, Sue. Let's see. Deborah. No question, just a reflection. I taught a research course for several years, but no longer retirement age. So very cool to learn. Awesome. That's awesome. I think research studies are phenomenal. It really benefits a lot of people. Right now, I'm benefiting athletes who want to train at altitude. So it's really, and here's a little interesting fact too, Deborah, is that I found out that in the same study that I'm in, they have an Olympian in the study. So I don't know who it is. I mean, we don't know who everybody is in the study, but I think that's really cool that there's somebody who is really super fit in the study. So pretty cool. Just a little factoid. Let's see. Lisa says, I took the Craftsy class pre-pandemic. I got to attach the melons, and thanks for you're so welcome, Lisa. I'm so glad you took the class. Awesome. You should post your picture. I would love to see the picture of your quilt. Awesome. Let's see, Lynn Parker. Let's see. Hang on, Lynn. How come Lynn's not going up there? Lynn says, I took the Craftsy class, and there we go. I took the Craftsy class. It's hard for me to see it really little. Also, love the colors of the quilt. Any suggestions for picking colors? So, good question, Lynn. For colors for this quilt here, what I would do is, first of all, pick a color that you like as your main color, and then kind of go from there. But of course, you want it to be, they want to be gradated. So as you know, as you can see in here, like I have them gradated from like a deep pink to a very, very light pink. So that's what I did in this quilt that I'm working on here, and also on this one. This one I color blocked though, so I have like orange and I have green and I have pink and blue, but I color blocked it. And the one over here, they range in colors from like a deep turquoise to like a purple. So you can do, you know, a color gradation that way. So pick a color and then think about what colors there may be in the color wheel that go with that color, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. And then we've got Kyra. Oh, Kyra says, Jackie's jelly bean pattern is great to learn curved piecing quilting. Yes, it is. Kyra made my jelly bean pattern, and it is great to learn curved piecing. And there's no paper piecing involved in that. It's just curved piecing. So that would be a good one if you're just looking to learn curved piecing. Let's see, more questions. Yep, Kathleen says also, Kathleen, Desert Sky was your first. See, that was one of the ones I suggested. Desert Sky was my first. Took a class with Judy when she was in Glastonbury. It got me hooked, but then I jumped on Dinner Plate Dahlia. I know, right, Kathleen? Kathleen was in my Dinner Plate Dahlia class, which is a much more complex quilt to do. So Desert Sky is one of those, the one that I told you is a repetitive block over and over again. It really gets you used to that technique. So thank you, Kathleen, for validating that response. Awesome. Let's see. Leslie. Hi, Leslie. It's so good that you're here. Let's see. Deborah's got another question, and I'm looking at it. It's far away. But yes. Okay. Do jelly rolls work? Yes, they do. For this, they do, except you need, you know, bigger pieces for your backgrounds. But for the arcs, jelly rolls totally work. And in fact, on the back of the patterns, let me see. On this one, she tells you, yeah, she actually recommends the Bali strips. So you can do that. So if you have a pre-packaged jelly roll, you can definitely break that open, and then you don't have to worry about picking your colors either. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. You are welcome, Melinda. I see she's saying thank you. Thank you for showing us how to piece the arcs. I'm getting ready to do them. Awesome. Awesome. So this was very timely. I'm so happy. That's great, Melinda. So happy that you dropped in today then. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. So I don't see any other questions. I think I got them all. And here's my guy. You see the back of his cute little head, his little toupee. He's got a little hair piece there. Anyway, I'm glad you all stopped in to watch my tutorial today. I hope you gained something out of it, even a little something for your quilty toolbox. It's good to be back, to see you. I'll be back in 2 weeks from now, taking the week off next week because, remember, my husband's retired, so we're doing more things together, which I am thoroughly enjoying. So if you haven't done it yet today, get into your studio and start sewing. And if you haven't done it yet today, get your body moving too. Get outside, go for a walk. Do something. It's Happy Hump Day, right? Anyway, I hope you all have a fabulous rest of the week. I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining me. Have a great, great week, everybody. Take care. Happy quilting.